Well, good afternoon, everybody, and can extend a very warm welcome to you all to this Planning Review Committee being held today in Grangemouth Community Education Unit 69 to 71 Abbots Road. Today, Wednesday the 13th of November, beginning at 11:30. In accordance with Section 43 of the Local Government in Scotland Act 2003, it has been directed that this meeting will be conducted in such a manner as to allow remote attendance by elected members. The meeting will also be live streamed. Before we go into the business, just like to ensure that everybody knows who's members of this committee, including members and also officers. My name is Councillor Buchanan. I'm the convener of Falkirk Council's Planning. I'll go to my right here.
Councillor Ralph Kelly, Denny and Banknock. Bailey James Kerr.
Provost Robert Bissett, Councillor for the Falkirk North Ward.
Councillor Gary Bowes, Caskinare and Trist.
That's the members. Now go to officers.
Douglas Blythe, Legal Advisor to the Committee.
Stephen McClure, Planning Advisor to Committee.
Jim Miller, Committee Services Team Leader.
Harley Tolan, Democratic Services Graduate.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, I'll not ask for any apologies because all members are here. So take item 2 on your agenda papers, which is declaration of interest. And just for clarity, I'll read this out. Members should declare any financial and non-financial interest they have in any item of business at the meeting, identifying the relevant agenda item and the nature of the interest. Have we any declarations of interest at this time? None recorded. Fine, thank you. That takes us to item 3, which is the minutes. 3A, minute of meeting of the Planning and Review Committee held on the 18th of September 2024. Pages 3 to 5 on your agenda papers. Have we any questions arising from that minute?
No, agreed.
Agreed. Okay, thank you very much. That takes us to minutes again, which is item 3B, minute of meeting of the Planning and Review Committee held on the 2nd of October 2024, pages 6 to 8 on your agenda papers. Any questions arising from that minute? Agreed? Okay, thank you. That takes us to item 4 on your agenda papers, which is the Planning and Review Committee procedures. And for that, I will pass over to our officer, Mr. Douglas Blythe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Convener. I'll just briefly go over the procedures. This is a review of an officer's decision. So the matter comes before the Planning Review Committee. The procedures are governed by the Scheme of Delegation and Local Review Procedure Regulations 2013. And the first objective for members is to decide whether they have sufficient information before them to make a decision. If not, there are a range of further procedures that can be invoked, namely written representations, site visits, or a hearing. And I'll just briefly pause at that point to direct members to the applicant's review statement at page 17, where they suggest themselves further procedure that could be invoked, but that's something that members could no doubt discuss in due course. As with any planning decision, members should assess the application and decide it in accordance with the development plan, unless there are material considerations to suggest otherwise. And as always, it involves a review of the applicable policies, and to weigh those up and to give reasons for any decision that's taken. So I think that probably covers my part, Convener, and I'll hand back to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. You did mention the fact, and we'll go to initial procedures 2.2. In line with Regulation 12, the Review Committee may determine at the first meeting that the review documents provide sufficient information to enable them to determine the review, whereupon they may determine the review without further procedures. Well, we've already got the paperwork in front of us. We've already been to a site visit, so I'm asking members, are they happy to go forward with the information that they have so far? Bailey Kerr.
Can I just get clarity, what Douglas mentioned about the applicant, what the applicant was asking for, please?
Absolutely, Bailey Kerr. The review form invites applicants to suggest further procedure that they think the committee should or may wish to carry out. In this case, the applicant, and it's on page 17 of the papers, has said, we believe a hearing is necessary to address concerns about the garage's position and impact on the setting. The hearing will allow for further review of the original drawings alongside the strong support from the directly affected neighbours at 7 and 9 Mullach Avenue. It also provides an opportunity to highlight the positive impact the development will have on the applicant's ability to continue fostering, which benefits the community. Now, I would stress that it's up to the committee.
Yeah.
It's up to the committee what procedure, if any, they invoke, and then they're under absolutely no obligation to accede to that request. So it's just to highlight that to members, and they may feel that there's sufficient information within the papers before them, and having carried out the preemptive site visit upon which to make a decision. But it's essentially, Bailey Kerr, it is members to make that decision.
Yeah, thanks for that. My concern is the foster care bit of the information that you just came forward with there, and we'll all will have had the note from, or the briefing from Child Services regarding launch a new foster care recruitment campaign, which happened last year. We are struggling for foster carers in Falkirk. And I'll be an indulgence.
Excuse me, Bailey Kerr, sorry to interrupt you at this time, but it would be pertinent to bring the officer in first to give the report, and then would that be okay with you?
Fine with that?
Okay, fine, thank you.
And just a quick note or a quick question then, procedural wise, once the officer's done his report, they will still get an opportunity to say, I didn't have enough information, or I would like more information.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
fine, that's
Okay. Okay, right. Well,
Convener,
yes.
just to say I haven't been on this site visit, but I'm quite happy with the details that's in here.
You're happy with
make a
it?
decision.
Okay, okay, thank you, sir. Okay, then that takes us to item 5 in your agenda papers, which is planning application P240296, full 8 Mullach Avenue, Falkirk, pages 14 to 125, and Mr. Stephen McClure, our officer, will give us the report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Convener. Okay, today's review is in relation to the construction of outbuilding at 8 Mullach Avenue in Falkirk. It's a detailed application that was refused there for construction, a single detached pitch roof garage to the front of the 2-storey detached dwelling house in an established residential area of Mullach Avenue, Falkirk. The proposed garage measures 4.4 by 3.1 and is proposed to be orientated in such a way as it's perpendicular to an access directly from Mullach Avenue. In terms of the relevant policies to consider today, in National Planning Framework 4, it would be Policy 1, tackling the climate and nature crisis, Policy 2, climate mitigation and adaptation, Policy 14, design quality in place, and Policy 16, quality homes. In terms of the local development plan 2, it would be Policy PE01, placemaking, and HC08, residential extensions and alterations. In terms of material considerations, it would be the consideration of the site in relation to the coal mining legacy, the Falkirk Council Supplementary Guidance SG03, residential extensions and alterations, and the assessment of public representation. There's 2 objections to the application. The officer's report in front of you has expanded on all of the above policies, guidance and material considerations. Within the pack, you'll also find all relevant policies, guidance, plans and images of the site there. The proposal was refused as it failed to comply with policies 16 and 14 of National Planning Framework 4 and policy PU1 HCO8 of Local Development Plan 2, as well as the supplementary guidance SGO3. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. Bailey Kerr, I'll come back to you and do apologise for having to break in during your submission, but I think it was important that we got the report out first before members then come in relation to debating. Okay, Bailey Kerr, back to you, sir.
Thanks, Convener. That was a whirlwind submission with Stephen there. And I know we've been sitting here a long time, but I've concerns. I've not got all the information. I've got the information regarding what the building is and where the vicinity of the building will be. And I didn't come to the official visit, but I went out and visually seen the area myself as a cul-de-sac. But the bit that bothers me, that I mentioned it previously regarding getting more information on the foster care aspect of the application. I would like more information on that, because and there's no indication that we would lose one, but a foster care, but if that's a potential, it's getting harder and harder. And that maybe be the case, the mitigation of, if you were approving it, where the policies are there for the NPF 4 and Local Development Plan 2, but there could be a potential where I would like that more information, if possible.
Okay then, we'll come back to you in a minute, but I'll just go to see if there's any views at this stage from either our officer, either Stephen Planning, or we have our legal officer here. Any you'd like to come in at this stage?
I'll kick off, Convener. I think that we have to be very careful about the fostering aspect of the submission, and I think I'll let Stephen come in with a bit more expertise. In short, the personal circumstances of the applicant would not be a material consideration. So I think to try and gather more information on that, to allow to potentially use that as a material consideration would render any decision susceptible to challenge. So I think we have to be careful that we're not focusing on something that is not a material consideration. But I'll let Stephen come in with a bit more detail.
Stephen?
Yeah, that's correct. It wouldn't be a material consideration in this case, members. You're looking at the consideration of it's a dwelling house, so it's considered as that. It isn't an institution or anything beyond that. So it would be considering mainly, obviously, position and design. Is it suitable in terms of the policies that cover dwelling houses? It wouldn't be something you could take into account in the property itself. Or, it wouldn't be something that would be a material consideration in this case.
Thank you. I'll come back to you in a minute, Bailey Kerr. The issue is, as it was stated at the very beginning, if members had enough information with them through the reports and the site visit, they could go ahead. Now, there is a possibility that there's subsequent procedures, which would either be written submissions, we would need to clarify exactly what you were looking for, or else then go for a hearing session. So I'm coming back to you. You're aware now of the situation, you're aware of what the position is, and you're aware of what further procedures could be held if you so deemed and move. Thank you.
If that's not a material consideration, well, fine, I can I can take that on board and thank the officers for their comments.
I'm going to ask this again. We've already had the this put forward initially by our legal representative here. The issue is that our members, with the papers in front of them and also the subsequent site visits by everybody, are members happy to carry on just now, or does any member feel that they need subsequent procedures in terms of either written submission or hearings? So I'm leaving it open to yourselves.
Happy to continue.
Also happy to continue.
Okay, but that's the situation. Everybody's happy with the information that's been given to them, and also they're happy that they've been out on sites. Okay, then I'm going to enter into debate now. Any member like to come in? Billy Kerr.
Can I just ask Stephen to, at the very start of his summary, there was policies that he put forward. If you could just give us them again to a bit slower, so I can write them down.
Yeah, no problem, Councillor. It basically starts on page, I think, 89 of your documents here, and 90 of the main policy. Basically, the in the hands-on report there. So it's basically within National Planning Framework 4. It would be Policy 1, tackling the climate and nature crisis. Policy 2, climate mitigation and adaptation. Those two policies, it was considered that it would meet those two policies. So it would, in terms of policy, the next policy in National Planning Framework 4 is Policy 14, design quality in place, which from the report it seemed to be, it didn't meet the criteria of, and Policy 16, quality homes, which again,
That's
yeah, sorry. So basically, policy 4, it's in National Planning Framework 4, it's policy 14 and 16 that it doesn't meet the criteria of, which you can see in the report there. It expands on why. And in the Local Development Plan 2, it's policy PE01, placemaking, and policy HC08, residential extensions and alterations, which again, it didn't meet the criteria of. And also the statutory consideration and statutory part of the local plan is also the supplementary guidance. In this case, it's supplementary guidance SG03, residential extensions and alterations, which applies to this type of development. And again, in the report there, you'll see the officers actually taking out the section of the guidance which states obviously what garages and outbuildings and how they should normally be erected.
Can we have the page you're talking about, Stephen?
Yeah, sorry, page 90 of your documents there is the handling report where the officer's going through the policies there.
Billy Kerr.
With regards to the National Planning Framework 4, Policy 1, tackling climate and nature crisis, saying it doesn't meet that, can you explain how it doesn't meet it?
No, it does meet those two. So that's on page 89, it should be of your documents there.
I think that's what Councillor Bowes was asking, because I thought he says it does meet it. Then Councillor Bowes asked and he says it doesn't.
Yeah, in the hands-on report there, you'll see that the officer expanded in policies, the relevant policies. It's policy and National Planning Framework 4, Policy 1 and 2, which are in relation to climate change. It would be seen to meet those. It isn't enough to affect those policies. The main policies in National Planning Framework 4 that relate to the actual type of development is Policy 14 and 16, which it doesn't meet the criteria of. So, and the officers expanded on those within the report there.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. So there is a big report on which kind of building it will be placed in that area. Is the officer no happy with the materials getting used, or is it solely on where it's positioned?
So it's mainly in relation to, from the report there, you'll see it as in regards to position and policy. In policy terms, at dwelling houses, development should be kept behind the build lines in terms of your garden areas, etc. Obviously, on this type of estate, it's designed to be open at the front, both from even like visually for obviously vehicles coming out driveways, parking, etc. And also to keep garden areas clear to the front, and obviously on these properties, just because of the plot sizes generally and kind of house builder estates. So that's why the supplementary guidance kind of expands on that. It basically notes, as you'll see in the guidance, it says garages and outbuildings should not normally be in the front garden of domestic properties and should not be over dominant in relation to the existing and surrounding properties. The position of garages relative to the house should be informed by the character of the surrounding area. So obviously, members, in terms of the character of the surrounding area, obviously that is open garden areas, nothing beyond the build lines of the properties.
Okay, so this is a hypothetical question, Stephen. If this building was at the back of the house, would they need to apply for plan, or it could be done under permitted development?
It would just depend very specifically to the house and the garden area of what they've got, to be honest. It would probably be much more favoured. But as I say, in terms of if it required planning permission or not, it's very specific to the plot itself.
Right, okay. That's what I've got at the moment.
Councillor Bowes.
Thank you, convener. A couple of things, and the first thing is looking at the street map. The photograph's fine. The one I actually showed you on page 30. If you look at the buildings round about it, they've all got very square set plots. This one doesn't. It's got an unusual plot in it, and it's got the step in it, which is unusual from everyone round about it. Where the garage, as far as I can see, it's sort of sitting within that stepped area. Yeah, Stephen?
I think it's just out with the stepped area, just to the side, because I think there's bushes and kind of planting just at that side section.
So you can see in the photograph, there's actually a big tree sits right to the right-hand side. The right-hand side as you look here. So it's kind of it's well covered from the right-hand side. And again, I'm looking at thank you for pointing me to page 90. That was very useful, actually. And you're looking at the pictures and the drawings that have been given, and the roof material seems to be the same. The walls, I'm assuming it's a white render, which will be the same as the rest of the house.
As far as I can see from the plans, it is designed to obviously match the house in terms of
the Jordan style.
The style.
All of the roller shutter door, I'm assuming, is the same as.
It's just similar. As far as I'm aware, the materials were designed to match the house.
So again, policy 14 says design quality in place, and from what I can see, the design quality of it, and it seems to be matching what the original house is, which for me doesn't take it out of a line there. I think that the plot itself is an unusual plot. The plot shape is very unusual. The rest of them are all very square. This is a wedge shape, and it's got this bit on the edge. Proposal for next one is placemaking. I don't see how it fails that. Respond to site surroundings. Site surroundings are what people are going to see is two sides of it. The two sides that are going to see a rendered wall, and they're going to see a Georgian front door, and they're going to see a roof that's the same as every other roof. So just this personal opinion, I'm nothing else. And again, the residential extensions one, I go back to the point that it looks like the original house, and that's why if you were asking me now I would question that. I would be content that it's probably, I can guess, I know sometimes it's borderline decisions on things, but actually looking at the information, showing the drawings, showing the pictures where it's going to be, I'm looking at something going, I'm trying not to disagree with you, Stephen. I would possibly be swayed that the quality of what the building does match in with the other area. I think it's also an unusual plot of land compared to others which are very square. All the rest of them round about are very, very square. The garage is going to be behind a tree. If you're looking from the front, it's going to be on its left-hand side. I think there's good coverage on that side as well. There's no windows then going out the front because it's the shutter door, so there's not going to be any overlooking. So that's my initial thoughts on it. I'll obviously hear what everybody else say, because obviously sometimes in the debate other things come out that I've not seen so far.
Yeah, thanks for your input, sir. Provost, did you want to come in at this stage?
I don't really have a problem with this because it's a really good quality building. I think it complies with everything that we look for. I don't see no complying with these policies, and there's an adequate space there to fit it. I don't see issues with overshadowing or other issues like that, and I think, as Councillor Bowes says, it does fit in very nicely, and it looks just like the actual building itself. So my feeling at the minute is I'd be minded to support it, but that's just my feeling at the minute. I don't have any particular issue with it at all.
Okay, thanks, Provost. Coming up to members, Councillor Kelly, you want anything to say there?
Nothing to add to what's already been said. Personally, I don't see that this really is a problem. The way it sits in that plot, I don't think it makes too much difference.
Hey, thank you for your input, sir. Coming back to Bailey Kerry to ensure that we went right through all the members. We've heard what Councillor Bowes, what Councillor Kelly and the Provost has said. Coming back to you, Bailey Kerr.
Thanks, Provost.
Bailey.
Yeah. Apologise, Provost.
Upgraded it.
Apologise, Provost. Similar views to colleagues on the committee. I think that if the aesthetics of the new build was different from the main house and the surrounding areas, I don't think I could support it. However, there must have been a lot of thought and consideration when asking a company to come in and look at this. I think Councillor Bowes' comment regarding the unusual shape of the garden is very relevant, I think. And when you look at the view of the drawing from the company, where the overshadowing from the neighbouring houses is the only window that's there is looking into the parking space for the existing house. So, like everybody else, I'm more than content to support it.
Okay, thank you. We've heard from everybody. I'm going to go back to you, Councillor Bowes, because it seems to be that after your initial comments, that speaking to the other members, the members seem to be in agreement with your comments. So I'll come back to you in terms of because obviously we've got to have a reasoning behind the any decision. But first of all, we've got to indicate, first of all, are you minded to grant, and then is there going to be a seconder? But in terms of that, when you're talking about review committees, we've got to be ensure that the decisions that are taken in with terms of planning merits. Thank you, sir.
So yeah, I'm very much minded to grant on this. I think the information that's in the report with the drawings and the sketches specification, because there's quite a bit on the specification actually in here, right up to the thickness of the concrete and things like that on it. Tells me that the design of this garage area is in line with other areas of it, and I'm quite content with that. I think where it sits, also, and I appreciate if it had been possibly sitting at where number 15 is, right in the middle, it would stand out a lot more, but this sits on a corner. There's a tree growing to the side of it. It's only going to be seen on two sides. It's also in this strange plot shape as well. So I'm quite content that it doesn't change the overall street view, because a tree will dominate that anyway, up to one side of it. And I just believe that it's not an unreasonable development. I'm content that there's no windows going to right onto number 7 Anderson Avenue, and there is no windows coming out the front because it's a roller shutter door going to, I assume that's number 7 and number 9 Mullock Avenue. Won't be looking onto them either. So, and I think, as Bailey Kerr has just said, the only window in it seems to look onto their own car parking area. So I'm actually quite content with it. I did cover the numerous items. I will go back to page 90 if you wish. So in the design and quality, I'm content with the design and quality of it. Again, Quality Homes is your next section on it. We're losing a lack of aspect. Again, the pictures that are there, there is a small loss of aspect, but it's taken up the actual frontage of the house. If you were walking around there, you would see the garage and you see the front of the house. The only difference is you would see the house slightly earlier from aspect point, because the tree always covered that corner anyway. So you would actually need to be right in front of the house to actually see it. People from the left-hand side of that property will see what they've always seen, except for this additional building in the corner. So I'm content that the aspect is not particularly strongly affected with it. Placemaking, respond positive to sites around. Going back to it matches the original building, and finishes like it'll be, and it's presumed, and it's shown on there, it'll be a white render finish, a slight finish to match the roof, and the doors will match. So I don't see. I am content that the character of this building will match the character of the buildings round about it. And then that sort of covers HC08 as well, because as I've marked here, looks like the original house in a mini version, is what my actual scribble notes are on the paper. So for those reasons, and that's the 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons that the decision has or the officer recommendation was to decline looking at them and taking the details from there. And it's great getting all those photographs and pictures, and I thank you, Stephen, for them, because it does really help when you're looking at it for these, because if you tie that to this information, in my mind, and others may go differently, I appreciate what the convener has said, I would be minded to grant this application.
Thank you for your submission there. We'll just go back and maybe let, before we go, and Steve, you've got a seconder, we'll go back to Stephen. Stephen, did you want to come in? Any issues there?
Yeah, just to clarify there, councillors, that on page 37, it's just to show you that the garage itself isn't actually tucked into the corner, although the plot is a bit of an oddity. It isn't actually tucked in, it's actually kind of forward of it. There's a 3D image on page 37 of your documents that actually shows where it sits. I think that's partly in terms of just why it's obviously forwarded out there. Just in relation to trees and foliage and things around it, that just to note, they can't really be taken into account because they're not protected, so they could be removed at any point as well, in terms of the open aspect of the site.
Okay, Stephen, thanks for that clarity. We'll go to Bailey Care. Just to clarify where we are, we've got a motion moved by Councillor Bowes to agree and grant the application. We'll go to Bailey Care.
I'm quite happy to second the motion, convener. And I don't know if Councillor Bowes had added in the two policies that were already supported by officers.
Yeah.
Aye, that's fine. I'm happy with the summary of Councillor Bowes. That's, I think the applicant or their designers really thought hard of how to mitigate any of the policies, and I think they've achieved that. And I think Councillor Bowes' summary is exactly why I'm supporting it.
Okay, then I'll just go to other members. Deputy Convener Councillor Kelly, how do you feel about this application?
Quite happy to agree with the mover and seconder of the motion.
Thank you for that, sir. Provost?
Yeah, quite content with what's been said and quite happy to support it. Convener.
Well, I'm exactly the same. Happy and like to thank Councillor Bowes for his summary. It sort of opened a few windows that I hadn't looked through, and I'm quite happy as well. So just to see where we are, but a motion moved by Councillor Bowes, seconded by Bailey Kerr, and other than that, it's unanimously agreed to grant. We'll go to you, sir, now. If you maybe just sort of clarify where we are now.
Thank you, Convener. Just to clarify that, I think what I took from Councillor Bowes' motion was that he felt that the proposed development complied with policies 1 and 2 of MPF 4, didn't offend against policies 14, 16 of MPF 4, and policy PE 01 and HC 08 of LDP 2, and generally that the development was well designed. It was integrated with the existing building, and in particular it didn't affect the residential outlook or amenity of the area, and that there was particular reference to the unusual plot shape as well, and that there'll be no undue overshadowing or overlooking. And that for those reasons, we would be supportive of the development. Is there anything in particular that I've missed out?
No, that's fine. I think that the unusual plot is kind of important in that area.
In that case, I think the decision is unanimous, Convener.
Okay, that brings us to the end of this meeting this afternoon. I'd like to thank everybody for coming along, members and officials. Thanking you. The meeting is now closed.
Thanks, Convener.
Thanks, Convener.